Okay, we have a Zoom in with Dr. Sarah.
Is there a way to turn off the, it's kind of at the front so we can see the screen a little better?
Right there is the.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That may or may not give it what you want.
Yeah, they know.
Go full screen and Sarah.
Oh, you don't have to go full screen on me. That's fine.
Please and thank you.
I don't mind hiding. Do you want me to go ahead and share my deck, Ray?
Yes, please.
Alrighty. Let's
This is
see.
Dr. Sarah Mohrle. She's our next speaker. Got lots of background in engineering, strategy, especially AI and patent development. So excited to hear what she has to say about that and hear about this realm.
All right, let me just make sure in presenter mode you can still see my deck. Are we good?
But we can also see for unit slide.
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, you guys are just gonna see the next one. It's fine.
Okay.
You'll see my cheater notes that I'm talking about. So, hi guys, my name is Dr. Sarah Mohrle. I have a PhD in quantum physics that I absolutely do not use in my job. It's just because I'm really a geek and I thought it was interesting and I decided I wanted to get a PhD in it. I am the CTO of Choreo. Choreo is a deterministic AI platform. It is one that has been written over the last 10 years. And it's a little bit from the other side of AI that Michelle was talking to you about. I was chuckling behind the scenes saying, wow, feels like Michelle and I kind of synced our decks up because you're going to hear some of the same common themes, which makes me feel very good about myself that at least someone else is seeing the same thing I'm seeing in the industry. What Choreo does is we are, not only do we provide an AI platform and enterprise solutions, but we also provide business consulting services because a lot of the conversations start with, well, what are you trying to do? And with that, I'm going to kind of jump in a little bit into this. So why AI? And this is all going to be from a business perspective. I can always talk from a geeky tech perspective. I don't think you guys care as much about that. So why AI? From a business or client perspective, we don't start the conversation with a tool or a platform or a solution. We start from the why. What are you trying to do? The why drives everything for a business. So getting into the mind of an executive or in leadership is one of the things that's driving leadership right now. And if you talk to leaders, they're being told, hey, you need an AI strategy from their board. Everyone wants to be a part of this revolution. And sort of part of that is fear of missing out. You know, it's magic, right? It can fix everything. It can solve all the problems. It can answer all the questions. Well, is it really? Leadership's getting pressure to adopt something that sounds like it could help the organization. And so that's what we really focus in on. What are those tangible things that they're trying to do? Could it make them more money? Could it save them money? Could it reduce the headcount or just get more out of efficiency out of the headcount they have using what their real ability is, their brains and ability to think and logic? One of the things that drives organizations when we speak with, and especially when I'm speaking with their leadership, is how do I do it better, faster, cheaper, right? It's the economics of corporations right now. What gives me a competitive edge? What could help my organization? What could increase my margin? What could make us more efficient? What could give me access to information in order to help me make decisions faster, reduce cost? Again, why wouldn't I invest in this? Why wouldn't I investigate in these technologies? But investment in the future, right? This is also something that's coming at leadership right now. How do I not be antiquated? How do I not be in a position in 3 years or 2 years or even at the speed of the industry right now, 1 year? How do I not get left behind? How do I look at technologies and solutions that can help my business get ahead and not have this antiquated set of technology that now I'm looking at, oh my God, I have to re-platform and make this huge investment. But with all that, let's get real. The number one reporting tool in the corporate world is Excel. I know that sounds crazy, but it really is Excel. Everyone has all the BI, all the analytics, all of the reporting tools in the world, and we really all still just take it into Excel, create a pivot table, and create our charts off of that. Why is that? I mean, it's crazy. And from talking to a technologist, even I do the same thing. But why is it? It's not a lack of data or technology. We're actually an overload. We have a lot of point solutions that look at the world from their own special way or their own point of view. You have ERP systems, you have CRM systems, you have all of these point solutions that solve their problem and the way they look at it. But where does that leave leaders in a business? Usually frustrated and demanding information. You know, how can I get a view of my business across all of these platforms? How do I find the inefficiencies? How do I increase XYZ? Can AI do that for me? Well, AI is not here to replace the humans, and this Michelle and I completely agree. It's here to enable them. So we start changing the terminology a little bit, and we start saying, let's switch out the phrase from artificial intelligence to intelligent assistance. That's really what we're talking about. It's here to help you. And so one of the last fears you see quite often is fear of AI taking over. Michelle mentioned it too. Is it going to replace my job? And why do they even have me anymore? Well, you know what? It doesn't have that ability. I'm here to tell you. I've been in the industry for 25 years. I started in primitive and analog and algorithmic development. It doesn't have the ability to think. It doesn't have the ability to reason. It doesn't have the ability right now to hold context and all the things that we do that make us very, very, very prevalent and very valuable in making decisions. So it's here to help us. It's here to enable us. And that's a lot of times what I'm facing is starting to say, hey, you know, let's talk about what it can do versus what you think it can do. Artificial intelligence, what is it? So let's start with the definition. And I asked AI what AI was. This was AI's answer. It's self-identifying. The ability of a computer system to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. And then it gives you some examples, right? That's the most important part. It still requires humans right now to make those decisions and human intelligence. So, Sherman, let's roll the Wayback Machine to where this all started. And Michelle did great. And I'm going to just, you know, leverage a little bit of her slides. You saw that deck of how far back it went. It's over 50 years old. Actually, probably even more than that. Oh gosh, I'm getting old. So why is it a new thing now? We finally have technology. We finally have compute power and frameworks and an ease of using the technology where we can start leveraging its concepts. And its concepts have been around for quite a while, but we're leveraging it now at a broader level. And it's an exciting time, great, right? You know, no longer are the days of the nerds locked in the back room that no one goes to. And they say, hey, you know, when they come up with something, we'll try to translate it. AI is actually helping with some of that translation now. And AI is available to the masses. So the AI as an industry as a whole can kind of be bundled into two categories. And I work in one side of it right now, and I came from the other side of it. So I have a unique view of both of these. I actually like both sides. There's deterministic. So what is deterministic AI? What it does is it tries to follow predefined rules and logic, think logic trees, and marries those up to ontologies in order to provide the same output every time to the question being asked. So if you think about all those technologies and those strategies that Michelle talked about, natural language processing, what deterministic AI is doing is it's trying to understand the context of what the human asked. That's the whole point of it. Because once I understand what you asked, I know what information to go access. Probabilistic AI is modeling It's predictive analysis, right? So the same input may yield different outputs. That's what Michelle was talking about. Like, you have to trust but verify. So here's some quick examples of deterministic and probabilistic. So deterministic. If you go into a company and you're talking to a salesperson and you say, hey, I want to ask you about an account, and I'm going to air quote account. What does account mean? Could be a lead, could be an opportunity, could be someone they've sold to in the past. It could be someone that they want to talk to. It could mean a lot of different things, right? What do you mean when you say? If you go to a finance person and say account, I'm pretty sure they have a pretty well-defined definition of that. It probably has P&L tied to it. So in the same company, two different people have a different definition for the same word. That's where context matters. That's what deterministic AI is trying to do, is understand that context. So probabilistic, what's a good example of that? Maybe I am a real estate agent and I need to know where to mail out my flyers, right? And I need to know which zip codes. So I need to factor in a lot of things. I don't want to waste my money. I need to factor in maybe which corporate headquarters have relocated. What's the strike price of what's being sold right now? What's the mean average salary range of families living in that area? And that can help me target where I want to send it. So it helps me analyze a lot of different data points and provide an analysis to me or provide a prediction to me. Now, is it 100% accurate? You don't know. It's an algorithm running in the background. Math has a deviation of accuracy. So maybe, maybe not. Does that matter for your use case? And that's kind of what you need to ask yourself. And then the next step of evolution after this is neural networks, and it's trying to combine both of these to actually get artificial intelligence. But we're not there yet, and we don't know why and how people make decisions. But we've got some of the building blocks, and we're starting to put them together. But just like Michelle said, one of the most important things to talk about is validation and trustworthiness. So moving on to the next thing, what's the value and ROI of using AI? This is a common conversation, and I have these conversations with companies that are as small as 50 million in revenue, and I have it with $36 billion companies, and they're asking the same question. How do I measure value? How do I know that what I'm investing in is actually going to get me something? So what is value? It encompasses the importance, worth, or usefulness of something. What does that mean to a business? Very simply, something that I can measure my return on investment. That's probably value. If you want me to spend my money, when and how much will I see it back? So again, we're rolling back some of that Sherman Wayback Machine to smart measurements. Now, this is also not a new concept. This came out in 1981. Yes, that long ago. And they're still relevant every day. And you hear SMART goals being referenced in a lot in human management and people management, but they're just as applicable to AI projects. Those goals need to be specific. What am I trying to do? Reduce time to resolution by X%, increase revenue by X% or X dollars, increase my fulfillment process efficiency by X%. Very specific goals. They need to be measurable. How am I going to know if this thing was successful or not? I spent the money, I implemented it. Now, how do I measure it? Well, before you implement it and spend the money, you need to know that measurement. Is it achievable? Is it grounded in reality? Yes, I know AI is magic and I know it will solve all the world's problems, including world hunger. But really, is it realistic? Can it really do what I'm asking it to do? Is it relevant? How is it contributing to your company's or department's overall goals? It might be a really cool thing, and it might make your job very, very much easier, and it might make the company's job very much easier. But if it didn't provide a lot of value, it's technology for technology's sake. And while it's cool, it's probably not something that a company should invest in. And then time bound. How long are we going to implement it? How are we going to measure it? And finally determine, was it successful or not? The other thing I want to talk about when you're talking about value and ROI, and Michelle touched on this too, is your risk profile. And this is something you need to understand no matter what side of the AI industry and what tools you're looking at. There is no solution in technology that does not exist without risks. You're handing over the control to something else, it has risks associated with it. And before you talk about solutions and tooling, you need to talk through what kind of risk profile you can accept. And what I mean by that is accurate enough okay? So if it isn't 100% accurate every single time, is that okay for you? It might be, right? If I just need to scrape emails coming in and determine where to send them in a call center, that I miss one or two is not the end of the world, right? That I might have to use a human at the end of this process to validate that it's right, and maybe that's fine. It lifted off a good 80% of the work. That's what I needed. Does it have to be provable? Do you have to go back and prove how you got that answer? Do you have to defend it in the audit? And, I would not recommend, and I highly recommend people not making financial decisions based on what AI is telling you, what a tool is telling you, because you don't know how it got to that answer. And are you in a regulated industry? I can almost guarantee you're not going to be allowed to use it to make decisions in a regulated industry because it does have too much of a risk profile. But now, after you go through all of this and you have this conversation, and all this has nothing to do with the technology, and I'm not mentioning anything that has to do with ChatGPT or, Chorea or Anthropic or any of the tools. I'm talking about business. This is still back to basic business. Now you're ready to talk about ROI. What is that return? Because you have these definitions in place and you have these goals in place. So you're seeing some synergies between Michelle and I. Thank God. How does my organization adopt AI? And by the way, I'm a Dilbert subscriber, so you're going to see some Dilbert cartoons in here. And I think this one on the right is very, very applicable. And I've had people come to me and say this in business. I think we should do AI. And I'm like, uh-oh. The first thing I do is like, oh boy, here we go. And Dilbert's saying to himself, does he understand what he said? Or is this something he saw in a trade magazine or online or in Google or whatever, right? And Dilbert goes, what color do you want that AI to be? I think mauve has the most intelligence. It's a cartoon about maybe we shouldn't start talking about the solutions and the tools before we determine what we want to do and why. So it's really just a sarcastic way of saying, hey, don't talk about the tooling. Maybe AI isn't actually the right tool you need. Maybe you just need a report. Maybe not the complicated AI is what you need at that point. So when you're talking about adoptance and the process of smart adoptance in your organization or adoption, first you need to determine the why. So back to that first slide. Why does your department want to have a conversation about AI? What are they trying to solve? The first question I talk to leaders when I interview them or when they bring me on to say, hey, we need an AI strategy, and I go, oh, okay. I'm like, let's just pretend that you have a black box that has magic in it and can do anything you want. Any tool you want, any way you want, it's magic. If you had that, what information would you need access to, and how are you going to use it? And a $36 billion company, a chief strategy officer said, I just have 9 questions. And I said, okay, great. Are you sure there's only 9? And she looked at me and she goes, well, I don't know. I said, okay, that's valid. Are you sure those are the right 9? And she goes, well, how am I supposed to know that until I have the 9 answered? And I said, very valid question. But it was pointing out the fact that you want to talk about technology and I want to talk about what kind of information do you need access to, or what are you trying to accomplish? So really it's back to those goals and that value. Determine that value and determine that goal. Think about the risk. Think about the ROI. Think about how you're going to measure this. It's always provable. Don't tie the measurement of the success to the adoption of AI tooling. Tooling is not the success criteria. Tooling changes. We're moving at the speed of light right now. I used to think programming languages changed fast. Now I'm like, yeah, it's slow compared to what AI is doing. Your success criteria will probably evolve over time. Where you start with is probably not where you're going to end up with the information that you're trying to get access to and things you're trying to make more efficient or automate. But the business drivers are probably going to be around the same. Better, faster, cheaper. Focus on those. That's what's going to continue to see you through the evolution of the change of technology and the adoptance and the evolution of the technology. Then you get to have fun. Here's the solution. Determine the solution. This is the fun part. The AI industry is huge. There is probably a solution out there that can already do what you're wanting to do. And it's probably already value driven and for your value driven initiatives. And so start investigating. Don't reinvent the wheel. But if there isn't, I'm pretty sure you probably have a department that is very, very, very eager to dive in and try to develop it. I'm sure they want to get their hands on it too if they're not already doing it. And then how are you going to implement it? And this is I always put this as the last one, and it's the one that's ignored the most, unfortunately, but it's probably the most critical one. Don't eat this elephant in one bite. It's not eatable in one bite. You can't accomplish it in one bite. Take the smaller bites that demonstrate value and measure success at each step. How do you reduce the churn on your organization? Right? Churn and change is a load on an organization. And too much of it at one time is almost the definition of failure. So how do you reduce that churn and how do you allow AI to help versus adding just another tool that bogs people down? How do you make it something that they say, man, this actually helped me do my job and this is making me more efficient? How do you train your organization on adoption and how do you manage the expectations on that process or that tool? Again, back to what Michelle said. What if it doesn't answer the question right? What if it says, I don't know how to answer that question, or it hallucinates and takes a right turn, and you're like, hey, what the heck is this doing now? You need to prep people for that. You need to help them through that journey. That help and that support is going to be the definition of success. It's part of it. And then how do you demystify AI for them? How do you make sure that they're comfortable with it, right? How do you say, don't worry, it's not here to take your job, it's here to help you. Let me make your job easier. Let me help you not gripe at the water cooler about the things that are just mundane and stupid that you have to do. And we all have to do some part of that in our job right now. Well, maybe AI can help you with that. And as a business sponsor, you play a significant role in the success of AI adoption. It's not just about technology. Most of this is about business, right? So if you aren't bought in, if you aren't an evangelist of it, if you don't believe in it, the adoption will have a very, very hard time and it will probably fail to some degree. So understand that your role is almost as important as the technology you choose, and maybe even more so. And then, how do I get started in this AI world? Well, okay, I'm a geek at heart, so here comes Star Wars. No try, only do. So get your hands dirty. I know it sounds scary, and I know you're probably sitting there going, I am not a technologist and AI person. I did not choose engineering, lady. I don't want to do this. Just try it out. Trust me, it's fun. You're going to hate. Sometimes I'm cussing at my computer and I'm yelling at it, but I do it because I want to understand what are the limitations? What can it do right now? Get your hands a little dirty, get a little frustrated, because guess what? Also, you'll also understand the journey of people using and adopting AI and understand the capabilities and limitations. You're never too young or old or knowledgeable to learn something new. And I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm a 25-year engineer, right? I started at IBM coding on AIX, the system development, and then I went into app development. And then I unfortunately went into management and I got right back out of it because I didn't like people. I chose a computer for a reason. And I went back into management because I can't keep my mouth shut. But I'm vibe coding. Right now, I'm vibe coding. Why am I doing it? Do I need to do it? No, I don't actively code in production anymore, honestly, in my job, but I want to understand what it can do. I want to see what are the limitations. I want to understand how it might help my engineers move faster. If there's something that can help them, why not try it? Why not? In my way of experiencing technology is by using it and trying it out. So don't be afraid of technology. It's not magic. I promise. It's not going to bite you. You're going to probably face the same frustrations that your engineering departments are facing with technology as well. Michelle alluded to it. There are a ton of promises out there. Vibe coding was going to replace engineers. We don't need engineers anymore. I can tell you sometimes that AI agent is more stupid than a junior engineer that does not remember what I told him. My husband sat here for 3 hours listening to me going, I just told you this. Why do you not remember it? And I'm typing it out to the AI agent. And I'm like, I'm spending more time griping at this thing than I am coding right now. So I had to learn how to tell it what I wanted. So what Michelle said about prompt engineering, man, that is the truth. How to tell it what you want is half the battle with AI right now. So try it out, get your hands dirty. And then here's some resources for you. And Ray has this deck that she can help send out at the end to anyone that wants it. But depending on your flavor, Microsoft. I came from a Microsoft background. AWS has great training. Google Pluralsight is what engineers. That's where we run to because it has examples. But try something that's real. Scrape an email from a customer to determine the issue and which customer support agent to route it to. Just try something like that. Write yourself an email and say, okay, how would I do this? And you'll start to understand some of the limitations. You'll start to understand when it starts hallucinating. You're like, wait a minute, what were you doing? Another example is use some natural language processing. Determine what the customer is asking help for. It's the hardest thing in the world. I sometimes hate the side of the AI I'm in. I'm on that deterministic side where we're trying to figure out what the person's asking. And I go, man, can I just go back to the math side? Like people, English language, yeah, they're not real specific on what they're asking. And a lot of context is built in and a lot of knowledge is built into the questions they ask. And trying to determine it, sometimes I'm like, could you ask a simpler question, please? But experiencing that journey will give you some insight into what the tools are trying to solve too, and what these platforms are actually trying to do. The more informed you are, the more powerful you become in your job and recommendations. I always tell customers, my job is to arm you with information. I'm not here to recommend tools. I believe my platform that my company has developed is probably going to be a part of the solution. But my job is not to suggest tooling for you. My job is to arm you with information and help you along that journey. So last slide, and I know I talk quick and I'm sorry, but I do talk quick. This is my contact information if you need to reach out to me. There are two parts of Choreo. We do value-driven AI strategies and solutions for our consulting side. And then we do have an AI enterprise platform where it is designed to have a conversation with your data. So if any of that interests you, then feel free to reach out to me. But with that, I said a lot and I threw a lot of information at you. So hit me up with questions. What questions do you have for me?
You think if we talk from here, you can hear me?
Yeah, there's a mic up there.
There you go. Sarah, so quick question. In your area of expertise, when business approach you, which is the more common approach? Is it help me on data analytics? Is it help me find a tool for my improving my marketing strategy? Is it to measure my marketing? What is the most common phase that businesses are coming to you for?
I love that question because it's actually there's a thread that I see and it doesn't really seem to matter on the business side. It's usually I need information and I can't get it. That's what they're coming to me with. And how can AI solve it? Because they've heard all the magic around AI. AI can solve all the problems in the world, remember? Including world hunger. They've heard that too. So they come and they say, how do I get information? I need information. Walk through the journey of an executive getting information. I'm an executive, so let's put on the role of an executive hat. I need some piece of information. Maybe it's because I need to decide where to invest in product features for the next quarter. Okay, well, I need some market information. I need to know what is our level of adoptance with our product? What features are missing? What are the support tickets that are coming across our company support department? What problems are we seeing? Can we solve any of those? All of that begins with, I need reports because I need this information. So I go ask my next person in line and I say, hey, can you get this report written for me? And that person, who is probably an executive, says, sure, Mr. Leader, I would love to do that because, you know, I want to make my leader happy. And so I say, okay, what is it you need? So now here's one level of translation happening. And then I go to my guy, my manager, and I say, hey, you know, Sarah needs this. She needs this information. She needs it as fast as humanly possible because she really needed it yesterday. So can you do this quickly? And that manager then has a meltdown because he says, dear Lord, why can't you people plan? And now I've got to go stop everything I was doing and go get these stupid reports written. But okay, sure. What is it they want? Next level of translation. So Sarah started with the request. We're on the second level of translation right now. The manager goes to those report writers and says, hey, we need these reports immediately. We've got a high level executive asking for this information. The report writer goes, good Lord, really? What's the next fire that is, you know, okay, you need a piece of information. This is your most burning piece of fire. Well, we're an agile organization, so you're going to have to get that on the backlog and prioritized and put in a sprint. Okay, now the first manager is tearing out his hair going, oh God. So what do I stop? What deliverable do I miss right now in order to meet Sarah, Miss Senior Executive's questions? Okay, that's the first thing that happens. Next thing, let's say I have enough clout and everyone stops everything they're doing and they say, hey, you know what, we can get it in right now. The manager now works with the product person. Michelle can identify with this, works with the product group and says, oh my God, we have this emergency request coming in. We need these use cases written. Here are the reports that are needed. And I guarantee you this is not as descriptive as what came from the executive originally. It's probably been filtered down a couple of levels. So she needs to know what the problems and support are right now on this product. Okay, that's an easy report. She needs to know, you know, what's our current sales rates with this product feature? Okay, no problem. The report writer's like, okay, I understand that. The product person's writing the use cases. It gets prioritized in. The report writer looks at it and goes, here's your reports. Now it traverses back to me. I'm the executive and I go, wait a minute, you didn't ask these other questions and I needed this other data. And now that I'm seeing this, I have these other 5 questions and here starts the process again. So the long answer to your question is access to information quickly and insights quickly because their job, you hired them to make decisions. You hired them to use all their years of experience to move your organization along. And then you handcuffed them with all the data and all the platforms and the inability to get that information and those insights quickly. So that's what they usually ask me is how can I get that information and those insights quickly? And can AI do it for me? And I go, no, but we can help you. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Sharing your screen so we could look at you on the big screen, please.
No.
Oh, wonderful.
I think she was more okay with that before you said why.
Let's see, stop sharing. There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have any more questions? Well, I
And
have
if you
one.
don't, that's okay. Okay, go ahead.
So I had a question. So what you earlier mentioned that small companies of 50 million, and that to me is not really that small a company, but for what I would consider a small business, which would be a lot less than that in revenue, what would you recommend for them where they've defined their problem, they know what they want, but how do they justify that investment to themselves or to someone within the company trying to push that to management?
Sure. I mean, I think it goes back to those SMART definitions, right? If you can't measure the efficiency, or maybe it will help you gain new customers or new sales. Maybe it's an operational efficiency. Maybe it makes you be able to do more with less, right? I can use less people. I can use people for what they're valuable for, which is their brain, versus doing mundane tasks. You really need to ask yourself, how am I going to justify this? If it were my own checkbook and I was going to open it up and spend the money, would I spend it? Right? We all go grocery shopping. I really should never grocery shop when I'm hungry because I buy some weird stuff. And I don't know what I was thinking when I get home and I look at it and I'm like, well, that's going to go to the pantry and die. Well, it's kind of the same thing. There's a lot of excitement around AI. There's a lot of excitement around technology and solutions. But if you wouldn't spend your money on it, why are you asking your companies to spend the money on it? So you really need to investigate, how are they going to get that return on that money? That's the not a little bit broad answer to your very specific question, but it really does come back to that. It's trying to drive it back to tangible value and tangible deliverables and tangible measurements. And then the solution, there's a lot of tools out there, right? Find the one that meets your use case. You can pretty much Google them. Honestly, it's what I do half the time. Well, I need a language model that does this. Is there one that exists? Because I don't want to spend the time to develop it. Right? So there's a lot out there already that chances are you probably don't even have to develop something custom, but you really need to still take yourself back as a business person and a business leader and say, would I spend my money on it? And how I'm going to measure this? How am I going to get my money back? How am I going to get value on it? Does that answer your question?
You have any more questions?
I have one. What are you using for your vibe coding? What tools are you using right now?
Oh, so I hate Copilot. I think it is horrible. I'm using Windsurf, and remember, I'm a .NET person, so this is painful for me to say. But I'm using Windsurf, and I'm using Anthropic's Claude 3.7 in their Cascade AI agent. And if you get into vibe coding, I have some suggestions. You need to remind it often of your rules. So my rules with my AI agent is I want to do TDD, test-driven development, and BDD, behavior-driven development. Because why am I writing code if I'm not justifying the test cases, right? I only want to write the limited amount of code that I need to write. The AI agent loves to throw code out there, and it loves to throw a lot of code out there. And I consistently have to remind it, and in Windsurf, they call it memories. So you kind of set the rules in the memories and you say, hey, these are the rules I want you to go by. You're not going to mock. I want you to use real interfaces and real data. I want you to use TDD and BDD based strategies. And every time I code on this thing or I use it, I come up with like 5 more rules that I tell it, you need to go put that in your memories. And then I have to remind it, and it'll say, you're right. I forgot. I need to do TDD and BDD. And I'm like, why do I have to remind you if it's a rule? You should check it. Now I'm at the point where I tell it, check your rules before you write a line of code. So prompt engineering, getting used to that. It's even an engineering side right now. Prompt, learning how to tell the prompt what you want and confining the context for it is imperative.
Any more?
Please let me get off the screen soon.
I think that was it. Thank you so much, Sarah.
No problem.
you, Sarah, for joining us and for all your insights.
Yeah, no
Right
problem.
now we have a little coffee break scheduled, so hop back in around 3:15 or so. Couple minutes to stretch, get something to drink. What?
It's 3:40.